Right, we have a lot to get through today. Next up, we have radio host Cary Harrison. He's joining me now in the studio from the States, should I say. Thanks a lot, Cary, for joining us here at RT. Now, there's been a lot of talk about the Republicans could take the lead in these elections, especially amid criticism of Democratic policies on inflation and economy. What do you expect to see?
It's interesting, by the way, thank you. This has been a very busy day for all of us, and it will get busier in days to come. Interesting to note that in Arizona, where Caleb was talking about the voting machines not having enough printing ink and all of that, that's alleged. What we do know for sure is that the current sitting Secretary of State is running for her reelection, and it could be that the side that Donald Trump is claiming, having created a video today, that the problem is this, that, and the other. But it could be because we don't know for sure if these machines actually were malfunctioning. In other words, if you don't want the current Secretary of State, a Democrat, to be reelected, you claim the machines that she is in charge of are not working. Therefore, a Democrat has no control over honest and fair elections. That's a game. That's a kind of fraud in its own way. These are the same people who claim that in 2020, Joe Biden didn't fairly win the election. We now know, as of today, from the Heritage Foundation and other nonprofit organizations, that only 35 people out of 350 million committed any kind of fraudulent voting activity, which is a felony in the United States, punishable by $5,000, enough to bankrupt most people in this country. So really, is there fraud? No. Is there threat of it simply by using political monkey shines, by going on TV and radio and constantly saying over and over again? Yes, it does sow doubt. But let's go back to the United States pre-1884. Before then, we did voice votes. You went into a courthouse, a judge made you swear on a Bible, swear that you were who you said you were and hadn't voted before. And then you had to vote in public, in front of your neighbors, in front of God, in front of other people who might not like the way you vote. And so they made sure you didn't vote the wrong way because you have to live in that town for the rest of your life and you better vote the right way. All of this was the way it worked. Plus, they served booze, liquor, alcohol at election night. In fact, my ancestors, going back to about 1775, before this became the United States, we were still British, brewed 300,000 gallons of peach brandy for George Washington's election. Did it help? Yes.
All right, Cary.
People booze.
All right, Ken. Let's not go back that far back. I know there's a lot to talk about. Look, while I have you here, Biden's been talking about, the allegations that a Republican-controlled Congress would be a threat to democracy. What does he mean by that?
I think what he means, he's probably referring to gerrymandering, referring to what's going on in Georgia, one of the most important states, because it would change the face of the Senate. Brian Kemp, who has created ways to declare that tens of thousands of people are voting illegally. They're not voting illegally, but what Brian Kemp has been doing, this is clever stuff, like Machiavellian genius. You send out little cards to people in the mail and ask them to verify that they live at that address. But the cards don't look like anything official, so people throw them out. If that government, run by Brian Kemp, who's running for re-election as government, don't receive that card back, they get cut off the voter rolls. They tend to be people of color, Hispanics, Asians, people who might not vote Republican, people who don't look like Brian Kemp. And so these are the tricks. So when you accuse the other side of doing that, people look at the other side, but you're the guy pulling that stuff off. The guy's a genius.
It's interesting. I mean, we've heard a lot about these polls. Could there be fraud? There might be fraud. I mean, it just seems to be adding a lot of confusion into sort of the mix, especially these tough times. But, a lot of Americans have talked about the economy. They've talked about inflation. They've talked about these are the major concerns. Of course, abortion's up there as well. But what's Biden not done? What could the Republicans do if they did take some power back?
Well, what could they do? They could probably, if you're a woman, for instance, make your life a lot more difficult. If you feel, as a woman, which is 61% of the global human population, that you have a right to control your own body. If you're one of those people, greater than half the human population, you may not want the government taking that right permanently away from you. It looks like if the Democrats were to win, this is on the side of women again, they would codify that a woman actually has agency over her own human physical body. So that would be a plus for women. But if you're male and think that women should not have that right, then you want the Republicans to win. You want the Republicans to make corporations stronger and have more power than ever over everything that's in front of you. If you own a corporation, that's what you want. So it depends what team you're playing for. Are you a little guy? Are you a big guy? And that's really what this is about in America, because we are the land of business at the end of the day. It's about power, property, and prestige. So if you don't have much, you don't want the guys who do have it. If it's the other way around, well, you want to win. It's always been that way in history.
Right. Cary, let me ask you a final question while I have you here. These midterms, will they sway the next elections, in a couple of years' time, depending on, the Republicans or the Democrats taking it?
For sure. So whoever is in power has the loudest megaphone. That means you're going to get to be on TV. You're going to get to be in the newspaper. You're going to get to have town halls and rallies. You're going to maybe get Donald Trump to come in because you're already in power. Whoever is in charge is more in charge than ever. Yes, it will sway how the presidential election looks. If you are a senator, United States senator, and you start declaring that there is fraud and monkey shines and deceit going on left and right, and the only one who can save the day is the new Uncle Sam, headed up by fill in the blank, gun-toting, abortion-hating, Jesus-loving guy, well, it's kind of a slam dunk. So, of course, the more power you have, the more people that think like you, the more messaging you get out.
Excellent. Cary Harrison, always a pleasure talking to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us here at RT. Speak again soon. Take care. Stay safe.
What would you do if you had a broken bone? You'd go to the doctor and use your insurance, right? What would you do if you had a serious problem with drugs and alcohol? Most people do nothing until it's too late. Your insurance can help you get clean and sober with the assistance of a place like the Detox and Treatment Helpline. Many times treatment is fully covered, so why not use your insurance to treat your addiction problem just like you would if you had a broken bone? And with the Family Medical Leave Act, you're allowed by law to take off time from work, and your employer doesn't need to know the reason. So there are two good reasons. You've got insurance you can use for your addiction problem, and with the Family Medical Leave Act, it's completely confidential. Call us right now and save a life.
Call 855-325-5512. That's 855-325-5512. Call 855-325-5512 now.